Google just made a significant move by announcing fully managed MCP servers for core Google Cloud services such as Maps and BigQuery. This confirms what we already know. For AI agents to be useful, they need a standardized way to interact with tools and take action. MCP is becoming that standardized way. It is the API for agents. But here is the challenge. These powerful new Google services and tools exist outside your existing organizational governance boundaries. You need a single secure fabric to manage all your agentic assets, AI agents, tools, MCP servers. We want to bring these powerful Google MCP servers into MuleSoft Agent Fabric. Why? So you have all your agent-ready assets in a single place. I'm going to show you how to pull Google Maps MCP server into MuleSoft Agent Fabric. The moment you bring it into Agent Fabric, you transition it from an external service into enterprise-ready managed asset. And specifically, we are doing this to prevent a classic failure mode, a runaway agent, rogue agent hitting your Google Maps MCP service 10,000 times a second, blowing through your entire operational quota. With MuleSoft, you control access, usage, and security even for external services. For this walkthrough, we are going to take 3 steps. First, configure the MCP server in Google Cloud. Second, bring that MCP server into MuleSoft Agent Fabric. And third, test with a third-party agent. Let's start with the first step. For this, we need to start in Google Cloud and need to enable the necessary services for the Maps Grounding Light MCP endpoint. So in the documentation, you will see Google has provided these 2 commands here to configure LLMs to use the MCP server. I'm going to use these commands in my Google Cloud project. I'm in Google Cloud Console and I've opened a terminal. I'm going to paste my first command, which enables the map tools. Since I have already enabled map tools previously in my account, I get this error. But when you try it for the first time, this command will enable map tools in your Google Cloud project. Once map tools is enabled, the second step is to enable MCP server capability on map tools. This is the command for that. I press enter. And similarly, since I already enabled MCP for map tools, I got an error, but this should enable MCP server for your Google Cloud project. And next step is to create and configure your API key. So if you navigate to API and services, you should see a button to create credentials to create a new API key. I've already created this API key here and I've copied it in my text editor. This finishes the configuration on Google Cloud side. Now let's move on to next step to bring that MCP server into MuleSoft Agent Fabric. Okay, for this step, I logged in to Anypoint platform. This is my main page and I'm heading over to Exchange. Exchange is the agent registry where I see all my agentic assets, including MCP servers, agents, agent broker, as well as LLMs in a single place. I do not see Google MCP server in here. I'm heading over to API Manager, and to add as well as manage MCP server, I'm using this add button to add an MCP server. I selected my connected gateway. This is a self-managed Flex gateway that I have running on my machine. I click on next, register a new MCP server. I give a name, the base path, and the upstream URL. So I'm providing Google API Map Tools upstream URL. I click on save and deploy. My MCP server is now being registered. It should be active in a couple of seconds. Okay, here I see it is now active. I'll apply the MCP support policy, add an inbound policy, P support, next, and apply. So I've successfully MCPified that endpoint. In addition to the MCP support policy, there are several other policies for security, quality of service, compliance, troubleshooting, transformation that I have available here that I can use to consistently protect and govern all my MCP servers. There is one more thing we need to do, which is outbound policy. Because Google MCP server expects the API key, you can add that configuration right from API manager. This is the credential injection API key, outbound policy, API key, and I add in API key along with custom header and the actual key value. Let me pull it up quickly. Click apply. And now I go back to my agent and tool instances. I see my Google MCP server. It is active. I head over to Exchange, verify that my agent registry shows the Google Maps MCP. So now I have brought in all my MCP servers, including the Google Maps in here. We finished creating Google Maps MCP server in Google Cloud and brought that server into MuleSoft Agent Fabric. Now let's see how you can use that MCP server with an AI agent. To test this, I'm going to use the Cherry Studio desktop client. You can, of course, use Agentforce, Cloud Desktop, ChatGPT, or any favorite AI client that supports MCP. I'm in the Cherry Studio UI. I navigate to Settings, go to MCP, and click Add to quickly create an MCP server. I provide details such as name, streamable HTTP type, the MCP server URL. Click on Save. And when I toggle this button, now I'm presented with the tools that are now available at my disposal. I can now search places, look up weather, and compute routes. Now I go back to the chat UI and see that my MCP server for Google Maps is now available. I have not enabled it. Let me first ask a question to this agent without using the MCP server. I ask this question, what is the weather in Austin, Texas? Since the agent is not connected to MCP server, it is unable to provide real-time weather updates. However, when I enable MuleSoft MCP for Google Maps, which provides me capability to look up weather and ask the same question, I now get the current weather in Austin, the temperature, how it feels like, what is the weather condition, humidity, etc. The agent now knows it needs to use the Google Maps tool registered in MuleSoft Agent Fabric. It sends the request, Flex Gateway intercepts it, it checks our policies, it verifies that request is not rate limited, the IP is whitelisted, and then it securely forwards the request to Google Maps MCP server. And the agent gets a definitive, non-hallucinated answer grounded in real-world data. This demo proves why MuleSoft Agent Fabric is critical to your agent strategy. With MuleSoft Agent Fabric, you maintain a single point of governance. You now have necessary guardrails in place, preventing operational and security risks, even for external tools such as Google MCP. You can use MuleSoft for MCP in the cloud, on-prem, or in hybrid fashion with world's best AI tools deployed anywhere with the LLM of your choice. I'm really excited where we are taking this next. If you're building agents, MCP servers, let me know how I can help. Hope to chat with you soon. Thank you.